So we'll begin by doing the refuge and bodhicitta. So please remember the meditation, which is that I myself have been experiencing the numberless sufferings, the general sufferings of samsara, as well as particular sufferings of the three lower realms numberless times. I have been experiencing them. I am still experiencing suffering, and the continuity of suffering will have no end until I put an end to it. But I myself am just one. There are numberless beings, numberless in each realm. The sufferings that I experience are inconceivable, and they're the most kind, most precious, and most dear ones, because every happiness that I have ever had or will ever have comes from them. They themselves have no idea how to cease the causes of suffering. They're attached to creating those causes. Therefore, I must do something. I must achieve enlightenment by training my mind in the path. To do this, I'm going to rely with my whole heart on Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Just as a person who is chronically sick would seek out the doctor who can help, and then take the medicine precisely as it's given. In the same way, I'm going to practice the teachings. And due to all the merits from practicing, from every single virtue that I create, that every single sentient being creates, that every bodhisattva and Buddha creates, due to all of these, may I achieve the state of enlightenment, so that I can help the transmigratory beings who are totally ignorant and powerless, controlled by karma delusion, migrating from realm to realm, born in each realm, experiencing all the sufferings of that realm, rushing so fast to death, then again dying and being reborn and suffering. To be able to benefit them by helping them to cease all the causes, remove them, remove all the causes of suffering completely and totally from their minds. In order to do that, may I achieve enlightenment. And according to Rinpoche's instruction, at the same time we generate this meditation, we have the awareness that the I who is seeking liberation and enlightenment, the enlightenment that we're seeking, the action of seeking it, the sentient beings for whom we're seeking it, are completely empty of existing from their own side. Sangye churan sangye chonan la chanchum bodu daning yapsuchi dagi jen sangye me sangnanki drola manje sangye Rinpoche sangye churan sangye chonan la chanchum bodu daning yapsuchi Dagye jen sangye me sonanki drola manje sangye Rinpoche sangye churan sangye chonanda chanchu bodu daning yapsuchi dagye jen sangye me sonanki drola manje sangye Rinpoche. So this is the last session of meditation, and it's a bit like the last day at school, isn't it? Then we have the sog, the big feast, and then we say goodbye. So if you don't mind, the subject for this meditation is love and joy. which we came up with yesterday. If you don't mind, I'd like to just say a few things at the beginning. I'll share a few things with you. And then we'll go into the meditation. So I hope it will enhance the meditation. But you don't have to meditate yet. Otherwise, I would be talking too much while you're meditating. So I just wanted to say, just mention the importance of joy in our Dharma practice. So Shantideva, the great Bodhisattva Shantideva says in Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, just as the wind blowing back and forth controls the movement of a piece of cotton, so shall I be controlled by joy, and in this way accomplish everything. So this is really for people who are new, as I know there are quite a few people here who are new to Rinpoche's teachings. And I just wanted to mention that I think most people are familiar with the fact that you can enhance the life force of the body by doing qi exercises like qigong. You can strengthen and tone your body and build up your reserves. Well, in a similar way, I feel that many of Rinpoche's practices are techniques. You can make a similarity with Qigong, that you learn certain movements. But these are not physical movements, they're movements of the mind, which help to build up the reserves of joy, the immune system of joy, and love, loving kindness, and devotion. So that practicing Dharma becomes something very joyful and nourishing, and whatever obstacles arise can be overcome. And it's something that for many years I think I never realized so much the importance of that. But spending time with Rinpoche's teachings, it's very clear that a lot of these techniques are for generating joy. So I wanted to say that, and also wanted to put that together because there was some concern that we do a lot of meditations on suffering. So you might say, well, hang on a minute, you lead all these meditations about earthworms being chewed up by ants and being vulnerable and fragile and powerless, and then you say that Rinpoche's practice is about joy. So how does that fit together? And it came to my mind that a few years ago, Kyabje Chuden Rinpoche, who is like the actual embodiment of Lama Tsongkhapa, was teaching the Lama Chömo, and one very senior nun, Pemo, asked a question. It's a very good question. She said, and Rinpoche was teaching the middle scope, which is all the different sufferings, the general sufferings, all suffering. The first part of the middle scope, suffering. So she put up her hand and she said, look, if we really spend all this time thinking about suffering, how are we not to get depressed? And Chöden Rinpoche, with his total, I don't know if you know him, right? Unflappable, immovable, Gyume Doji, I don't know how to describe. He just looked at her and he said, because we have a solution. And the point is then that liberation is one solution, but we have the best solution because we know we can do something, not just for ourselves, but for all these numberless beings. We can do something, bodhicitta. And that's why Rinpoche made a comment in Singapore when he was teaching, this year when he was teaching the Bodhisattva attitude, which I read out first thing this morning. He said millions of people in the West suffer from depression. Might not be such a problem in the Chinese-speaking countries, although suicide is becoming quite a big problem now. So he said millions of people in the West suffer from depression. Of course, we know people take antidepressants. So many people, millions of people take antidepressants. But he said, if you wake up first thing in the morning, you dedicate your life to numberless beings, then you are just controlled by joy and happiness the whole day. How could you ever be depressed? So that was that. And the other thing I just wanted to mention was I've been living in a very special place. I just wanted to share these two stories that happened to me this summer, quite recently. I've been living in this very special place where there are many practitioners and great lamas in Colorado. And recently the Yangtze of Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche came to visit. Came for a day, came actually to the place where I stay, came right there. And he was he's regarded as emanation of Pamasambhava and the greatest Nyingma teacher of His Holiness Dalai Lama. Perfectly accomplished master. So it was the 100th, it was a centennial, and they produced extremely exquisitely beautiful booklets to celebrate. Amazing pictures and text. And in that book, I noticed that there were 2 heart teachings that had been given by Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche in his previous incarnation. Just 2 short ones. The first one was on the nature of mind. And the second one was bodhicitta mindfulness. Exactly the same thing that Rinpoche has been teaching us. In other words, for this great enlightened holy being, and in a Nyingma you have view, meditation and conduct. However high your view may be, as Guru Rinpoche said, your conduct must be extremely fine. And so the conduct is bodhicitta, which is what Rinpoche has been teaching us with the bodhicitta mindfulness. With every action, it should be for others. And at the same time that the Yangtze came, another great Lama, another great High Lama, Nyingma Kagyu, or Kaning, was teaching a 6-week Dzogchen and Dzogchen preliminary retreat to students in the same place. And I heard, I wasn't there, but I heard that he praised Rinpoche to all his students. He praised Lama Zopa Rinpoche. He met Rinpoche recently, spent a bit of time, and he told his students, he said, Lama Zopa Rinpoche is such a great bodhisattva. I'm paraphrasing from what I heard. He said if Rinpoche goes to a restaurant and sits down in that restaurant, he spends so long praying that anyone who's ever been to that restaurant, who is in that restaurant, who works in that restaurant, who will ever come to that restaurant, be free of suffering, experience happiness. Everyone who ever sits in that seat, who sits at that table, who uses that plate, who touches that fork and spoon. And he said, if Lama Zopa Rinpoche, before he walks up a flight of stairs, he will pray that anyone who ever sees those stairs or walks up those stairs be liberated from all their suffering causes and achieve enlightenment. And of course we know this is true, don't we? That this is how Rinpoche dedicates his life. So the subject here is joy. And what greater joy is there than the fact that in this life we have been able to meet, and sometimes we even take it for granted, but that we've been able to meet with such an extraordinary living example of bodhicitta. As we see in every movement, every laughter, every joyful laugh, every act of giving and kindness, every word that comes from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. How amazing that we have met Rinpoche this life. Almost beyond imagination. at the beginning of the start of these lineage teachings last year, almost the first words that Rinpoche said to us were, "Our lives have been most fortunate compared to others. I would say our lives have been most fortunate." And truly, as Rinpoche said, many of us here have heard the LamRim teachings, the essence of the Dhamma, so many times. From highly qualified teachers who taught not by reading from a book, but from their heart, from their experience. And that includes His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the embodiment of Chinrezig, taking the form of the fully qualified Vajramaster and Bhikshu. And as Rinpoche said, it's inexpressible. It's the most unbelievable, rare and fortunate thing that could ever happen to us in this life, to have received such teachings from these great holy beings and from His Holiness. And now Rinpoche sat on this throne, maybe a week ago now, and he gave the most extraordinary teaching where he thanked us for helping him. He thanked the many students who had sacrificed 30, 40 years, 20, 10, it doesn't really matter, but that we had made that decision to help in this incredible vision of bringing the precious teachings of the Buddha, which are like a light to this world, to countries that had always been in darkness. And so in whatever way we have done that, please feel joy in your heart. How most incredible that we've had this opportunity. How inexpressible. How most amazing, how fortunate we have been. How most fortunate we are. We still are. To be one of the 1,000 arms of Chinrezig, bringing compassion and light into this world. For one of the greatest living bodhisattvas. how most amazing it is to have been here, to have received these teachings. And then every single teaching that we hear when we practice, we get close to enlightenment. How most amazing to be able to study the Dharma. How most amazing to be able to see examples, as we have seen these 2 weeks, of Western people who have studied and have incredible knowledge of Dharma, who have meditated and have incredible depth of Dharma. How most amazing is that? How most fortunate is that? And it didn't come easily. People have traveled here from Mongolia, from Australia, from New Zealand, from all over America, from Europe, from all over the world. People have come here to listen to teachings on emptiness and bodhicitta, and to join their Sangha in practicing with devotion, in order to make a difference to their lives and to make a difference to the lives of others. It's not easy to get the money together. It's not easy to get to an obscure place like this. It's not easy to get time off work or away from the family. How amazing that we made that decision, that we followed it through. How amazing that we did that this life. How incredible, how amazing. And then Rinpoche left, and we could have just packed up our bags and gone. But he asked us to stay. He said this is what he wants, that we do a retreat for 2 days together. And when the physical guru is not there, the guru has to come from us. And we sat together and we shared. And that was what Rinpoche wanted. How amazing that we did that. How amazing, how wonderful. And in the process, we got to know each other better and to see what amazing, incredible qualities there are in each one of the people in this room. it's not easy to be Buddhist in a country where nobody understands what that means. We were not born Buddhists, most of us. We were not raised as Buddhists. Many of us live alone, maybe far from a center, and yet we have that devotion and faith in our hearts. We have that wish for bodhicitta. We have that heart that longs to be oneness with the Guru. How amazing is that? And so please take just these last few minutes to rejoice from the depths of your heart at every single practice that you have done, at every single virtue that you have created, every single word of the teaching that you've heard, at the joy of having met such incredible spiritual guides, and also the virtue of others, those who organize this retreat, the many thousands of Rinpoche students around this world who are practicing, the 150 or 60 centers, can't even keep track anymore, where people work all day, take care of a family, and then spend all their time and put all their money into running a study group or a center, so that the small flame of Dharma in their country, in their city, can be fueled and grow stronger and stronger until the light of Dharma illuminates the hearts and minds of those around them. We truly are most fortunate. May the precious mind of bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the lives of the glorious Gurus be long. May all beings experience happiness. And may the light of the teachings, which is the source of happiness for all living beings, shine forever. Wajan chua san churam moche Mangya manang yang yuchi Kya manyam ba me moi Gone gondu malwasho. So each of us carry within us the light of the Dharma. And we carry it back to whoever we live with, to wherever we go, to whatever center, to whatever life. And the next session is 4 o'clock. And please keep silence.